Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tomasz, and in this video I want to show you the second part of the how to deal with SAP tables. Before we start, I'd like to thank you for all the comments, likes, messages and all the subscriptions. It means a lot for me. I really appreciate that, and it motivates me to create next videos. So let's go back to the topic. So for today's video I found the table in SE16N transaction, which is quite different than the structure. The ID is different than the ID of the table from the first part of this video. So let's go to SE16N, and for example let's type MARD, and here we can see the structure, so all the columns of this table, and here we got the checkboxes also. But what we are interested in this video is SAP object. So to go to that, let's simply record the simple action. So let's record checking the first checkbox of this table. So let's go to the script recorder. Let's press record script and just simply check the first checkbox, stop the recording, and let's go to the script. So it is this, and we can see the two parts. The first one we are not interested in, as I told you in one of my videos. We are interested in this part. So here we got the 3 lines. The first one is responsible for the maximization of the window, of the main window, window 0, because we're starting from the 0, the enumeration. The second line is exactly what we did, what we recorded. So checking, setting the true value of the first checkbox, and here we got the parameters, I mean the position in the table. And the last line, which stands for the set focus. But the purpose why we came here is in the second line of the second part of this code. And this is all we want. Here we got the, as you can see, the name of this table. You can see the TBL, which stands for the table, and then the checkbox CHK and the position of this checkbox in that table. So if you are confident, you can just use this ID to be able to set this to the object in the code. But if you are not confident, you can use whole name or whole part and just go with the parent, because the parent of the checkbox, and if the checkbox is in this table, so the parent of this checkbox is the table. But let's use this and put to the VBA editor just to go to the watches and see all the properties like we have seen in the first part of this video. So I prepared the code which is doing exactly what we just did manually. So it's going to the SE16 and pressing enter, typing MARD and pressing enter, and there goes deselecting all the checkboxes and just checking the first one as a true. But I just put here the breakpoint. Let's run this code. Yeah, I just hide the first part, which is how to connect to SAP. But let's run this code. We'll go to this breakpoint. Okay, we are here, and just let's add this to the watches, because let's do it just like we did in the first part. This is all the properties of the checkbox, and let's go to the parent. And here you can see that this is the table. So the parent of this checkbox is a table. Here this is the name of this table, and just like in the first part, you can find here the columns and the rows, which is all we want, the count of the columns and the count of the rows and all the items. One more thing before we jump to the next part where we are using this SAP object, SAP table object, and the columns and the rows. You can see that I recorded this the clicking of the first checkbox, and here we got the parameters 5 and 1. Let's go back to the SAP. You need to remember that we are starting from the 0, all numerations of the tables, counting the columns and starting from the 0. The checkboxes are here, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the rows 0, 1. So knowing that, and knowing also that the first parameter from those parameters stands for the columns and the second one for the rows. Here we got the 5 and 1 for this checkbox. And now we are ready to go to the next part of the code. So before we go line by line to see how it works, just a few words before. I use the parent property to set the SAP table variable, which is object type, and then I set the string array for the rows which we want check in this small exercise, I mean in this double loop below. After that, maybe let's jump to this point to have this object set, add this to the watches. So our SAP table got the columns and the counter, so 7, and the rows, the rows and counter, so it's 31. And here we got two variables which are gathering information about the rows and the columns, and after that we are ready to start the double loop. The first loop, we are going through the columns starting from the 0. After that we are taking the title, so the name of the column, and we are counting, let me show you, we are counting the items in the first column. You can see there are 31 items, it means rows in the first column, so we are going through that number. So we can loop through all the items, all the rows of the columns, and putting those statements. So the first item is responsible for the columns, the second item is responsible for the rows, and we are using the property display text to get the value of the cell, and then we want to see if this text, display text, is in our array, string array. If yes, so I'm using a simple function and checking if the return value is true, and also this value needs to be different than nothing. And if those conditions are met, we want to select the checkbox which is in the 5th column, and you can see that I subtract the 1 from the rows because I noticed that the numbers responsible for the order of the checkboxes are quite different because they are starting from the second row, and this is all we wanted to check the exact checkbox for the one of the string from the string array. So I think all is clear, and let me show you the SAP. So SAP looks like this, and let's go to the code and run this part and just stop just right after this double loop and see how it goes. Okay, it was just a second of the work of this code, and let's see the results. of this. So you can see that I'm just checking if there is no other checkboxes, but you can see that the code looped through the columns and the rows and just checked the checkboxes for the material, plant, storage location, and unrestricted. And this is exactly what we wanted. We just wrote the code to loop through the every cell, but if you are confident that the names which you are seeking for are in the first column, I mean the number 0, or in any specified column, you can just loop through all the items of the specified column, and it will work much faster. But if you are not aware of the structure of the table, or the structure of the table is changing frequently, you can just leave it like this, go through all the cells of the go through all the columns, all the cells of the rows, and seek for the value and do whatever you need. For example, check the checkboxes like we did here. So that is all for now. All the code from this video you can find in the article on my website, so go check out there. So if you like this video, please leave a like below, and if you want to be updated about my latest uploads, please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate that. Also, I invite you to my website, to my Facebook profile, and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.